Get everything started by allowing you guys just to go ahead and introduce yourself. We're going to give you 2 minutes to do this. If you will, just tell everybody here a little bit about yourself. If you'll talk about the credentials that make you qualified to run for this office, why you've chosen to run for the office, and also what makes you the best candidate for the office. And Mr. Johnson, Mr. Al Johnson, we'll start with you. And again, 2 minutes.
Okay. Can everybody hear me? Is that okay? Mr. Bell, thank you, and I'd like to thank everybody that had a part in putting this together. It's really nice to have these things. A long time ago, we used to have stump meetings about the same thing, but thank you for putting this together and inviting me to be a part of it. I think most of you may know me. I'm Al Johnson. I live in the Jefferson area, represent Jefferson, Angeles, part of Paisland, some of Mount Croghan. Been on the county council, I think, 26 or 27 years, so if I'm not qualified yet, I don't know how I'm going to get qualified. But it's good to be here tonight and good to see y'all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. And next up, Mr. Brewer.
Good evening. Thank you for coming. Thank you for the committee for putting this together. Thank you to the pastor and his church for hosting this. As you know, I'm Paul Brewer. I'm from Paisland, South Carolina. I graduated from Paisland High School in 1969, the first fully integrated class of South Carolina, Paisland, South Carolina. And I tell you, after I graduated from high school, I went to college at South Carolina State. I graduated from South Carolina State in 1973, was commissioned in the United States Army. Spent 28 years, 3 months, and 18 days in the United States Army. Been to many places in the world. 2001, I decided to retire after 28 years, 3 months, and 18 days. And I told my wife there's no better place than Paisland, South Carolina. She came to Paisland, South Carolina, kicking and screaming. She's still kicking and screaming, but that's all right. I see a lot of things here in the county. Chesterfield County has a lot of potential, a lot of great things about Chesterfield County, the environment, some of the conditions that we have. But I tell you this, I see some things that need to be fixed, some things that need to be corrected, some things that have been overlooked for the years. I think that I'm the man to be able to do that. I bring energy, I bring excitement, I bring a workaholic attitude. I bring an attitude that is driven by hard work, doing the right thing, and having a good time. I enjoy life. I hope you enjoy life. We're going to enjoy life tonight. Thank you.
I should have pointed out that Mr. Al Johnson and Paul Brewer, they'll be running for county council in District 3. At this time, we're going to go to our District 4 candidates. We'll begin with the incumbent there, which is Douglas Curtis.
Thank you, Mr. Bell. And thank you all for coming out tonight. And this venue, I've never been in this building before, but it's a wonderful facility, and I do appreciate the opportunity. And it has been an honor and a privilege to serve as a council member for District 4, which, as far as I'm concerned, my district doesn't have any boundaries. If I can help you anywhere in the county, that's my job. I'm married to the former Carol Ann Rhines. I found her in McFarland, North Carolina, when she was 17 years old. I picked her up and never carried her back home. She has gave me 4 wonderful daughters, Kirkley, Natalie, Lindsay, and Taylor. We have 2 grandchildren. One is, hope we get this right, 8 weeks old, and the other one's 15 months old. And they're a handful. But I graduated Chesterfield High School in 1978, lifelong resident. My parents were in business here. I attended Chesterfield Marlboro Tech. I'm a graduate of USC Institute of Government. We have went to work initially for Chesterfield County Sheriff's Department as a jailer back in the late 70s. I stayed there several years, went to work for Chief Olin Campbell here in Cheraw Police Department for a couple of years. And finally decided there's a better way to make a living than being a policeman, holidays, weekends, that type of thing. It takes special people to do that job. But overall, I'm a people person. I care about the community I live in. I want to try to make it better. I think we have made it better. The county's been progressive. When I came back into office in 2010, the county was in bad shape. The economy, the state the country was in bad shape. Chesterfield County was having trouble paying their bills, I'll be honest with you. But today, it's much... Sorry.
There you go. Challenger, Mr. Curtis, is Todd Smallwood. Mr. Smallwood, 2 minutes.
Thank you, everybody, for coming out tonight. Pastor Chad for putting this on. Mr. Bell for being here. My name's Todd Smallwood. I've been in Chesterfield County now for about 12 years. I graduated from East Carolina University with a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration. I've been in the dental business for 20 years. The last 10 I worked for Henry Schein Dental. Tell you a little bit, they're the largest distributor of dental goods and services in the world. My primary function day to day is helping dentists run the business side of their practices, be a little smarter with their profit and loss statement and how they spend their bottom line, managing overhead. I'm assistant football coach at Chesterfield High School. I coach Dixie Youth Baseball. I'm very involved in the community. I just feel like maybe some fresh ideas and some fresh faces won't be bad on county council. I want to focus on constituent services. I want the people in my district to know that they can reach out to me anytime. I want them to know who I am. I want them to have my name, my phone number. I may not always have the answer to their questions, but I want them to know they can call me anytime, and I'll work diligently to get the answers for them, to solve their problems. I can do it.
Thank you, Mr. Smallwood. And that was, again, District 4. Moving on to District 8, there are 3 candidates running for that seat. We've got 2 of them here with us tonight. We'll start with Miss Mary Anderson.
Thank you, Leighton. I'm Mary Anderson. I appreciate everybody coming too. I grew up in Cheraw, so I'm a lifelong resident of Chesterfield County. I won my first election 33 years ago at Cheraw Elementary School when I ran for student council. And my dad has called me Mary Go Davis ever since, because I have always been involved, had a passion for helping people and being a part of whatever's going on around me, community-based particularly. I'm married to Douglas Anderson, who's also a Cheraw lifelong resident, and we have 2 sons. One is 16 and one is 13. And we're proud parents, but you know, this is where I grew up. This is where I'm going to be for the rest of my life, or at least until somebody moves me to my new address, which will be Old St. David Cemetery. But I have a vested interest in this county because it's a place that, through my work as an educator and my work as a realtor, I've seen the value of people coming here and us making this a place that people want to be. Businesses, retirees, no matter who, like you said, no matter who it is, we serve everybody, and that's very important to me as well. I've been in education for almost 20 years. I have a master's degree in education from Winthrop University and done some postgraduate work also. And so I think that I'm qualified for the job because I do have a lot of experience in communication. Education, being a teacher, prepares you for many, many other challenges that you face. And so I do think that that's a strength of mine. I like to think that I relate to a lot of different people, different ages and stages, and I too would like to serve everybody. Yeah. So thanks so much.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson. Also running for District 8 will be Mr. Bob Robinson.
Good evening, and I want to thank Pastor Vic for hosting this event here tonight. I'm Bob Robinson, and I live in the Snow Hill community of Chesterfield. I'm running for County Council, of course, District 8, and I hold a bachelor's in business administration from Coker College. I'm also a business owner. I own Bob Robinson and Associates Auctioneers, and I'm also a hay farmer. I want to help this county in any way possible, and I feel like I'm qualified to do the job. And as Councilman Curtis said, it's not just for District 8, it's for this entire county. We're here to serve this entire county. I want to, if elected, I want to work on economic development. It would be one of my main priorities, is working with that, and also working with our local county officials to maintain and improve county services. That would be a big priority. I'm also a 22-year firefighter with the City of Chesterfield Fire Department, and I'm a former captain and member of the Chesterfield Rescue Squad for 13 years. And I'm here to help, and I'll be accessible and I would appreciate your vote and support. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Now, as part of this forum, we solicited questions from the public, and we've chosen 2 of those questions to ask to you guys. Since we started our first round with District 3, this time we're going to start with District 4. Leading into the question, I'm going to give you a little bit of background so you're familiar with what I'm talking about. By split vote, 5-2, in the September 2013 meeting, County Council approved spending $75,000 to hire an engineering firm to prepare a capital project sales tax referendum for the November ballot for Chesterfield County. The referendum proposal is a 1% sales tax on retail general merchandise except grocery and some medical purchases. If approved by a simple majority of voters on November the 4th, the capital project sales tax will be for a duration of 8 years beginning May 1st, 2015, and it overlaps with the 25-year 1% school sales tax from 2015 to 2023. That'll make the total countywide sales tax for those 8 years 9%. If approved, the proceeds of the tax must be spent on approved capital projects, including basic infrastructure, in addition to cultural, recreational, or historical facilities. Prepared by a 6-member commission based on input from local government, a detailed listing of these projects, including the projected cost, will be shown on the ballot. Now, the question that I have for you, and Mr. Curtis, we'll start with you, is, and you've got 1.5 minutes to answer this, what is your position on the proposed capital project sales tax referendum? And if it fails, will you raise property taxes to cover those proposed projects?
Thank you, Mr. Bell. I was one of the naysayers on the $75,000. It was actually, the way it was presented to me, was a study to see if this was something that was needed with the capital sales project. In the end, ultimately, it's up to the people to decide if you want that 1-cent sales tax added on to goods and services. I thought we could do it in-house for a whole lot less than $75,000. Why do we want to give an engineering firm something that staff and county council should decide? Second part of your question, if it fails, it's up to the people to decide. Now, I have not seen a final list, but my understanding from that 6-member commission, there are some very good people on that commission. A lot of projects were submitted. They rated them. I have not seen a final copy. Hopefully, we'll see one next Wednesday. We're going to have a council meeting next Wednesday. In that capital sales project, it's going to be on the ballot what each project is, how much it costs, and exactly the money that can be spent on it. No more, period. But it's up to y'all, the voters, to decide if that's what we want to do. And would I vote to raise taxes if it fails? I'll tell you emphatically, no, sir. I'm a pay-as-you-go person. We can put this aside. We just borrowed $7 million in bonds for capital improvements. Let's get that step paid for, and we can borrow again. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Curtis. Mr. Smallwood, do you remember the question, or do you need me to repeat it?
Thank you, Mr. Bell. No,
Yes.
I remember. To me, it's real simple. I don't support any tax increases. I don't think we need to put any more tax burden on the shoulders of the citizens of Chesterfield County. I haven't seen a list. I don't know if it would matter if I did. I'd be willing to look at anything, but at this time, I'm a conservative. I'll be honest with you. I just don't support any further taxes. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on. Ms. Anderson, same question.
Yeah, pretty much the same response, because generally speaking, I'm opposed also to raising taxes. Without seeing that list and not knowing what I'd be saying yes to, I certainly don't think, as a teacher, I know that you don't do anything without your research. And so, no, I wouldn't agree with that at all.
Mr. Robinson.
I'm absolutely positively against any tax increase whatsoever, period. I would have to see that list before I would make any statement whatsoever on that. As a homeowner, taxpayer, these folks are taxed to death in this county. Some folks can hardly pay their property taxes. Tax increases just won't work right now. It just will not work at all.
Gotcha. We'll move on to District 3. Mr. Johnson, start with you.
Yes, sir. I was one of the ones in the nay when that came up at county council meeting. I tell you, you know, never have a problem with something going to the people to let them decide, but when it costs the taxpayer $75,000 to do it, I have to vote against that. Now, and I personally felt at that time, and I feel now, that that will not pass. I am not, and with that said, it's going to be up to the people, and when they decide, that will be fine. Whatever they decide is good. But if it does fail, absolutely not, I will not raise taxes. And I think everybody that reads a little bit of paper know Al Johnson won't raise your taxes. We pay enough taxes.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. And we'll go to Mr. Brewer.
Let the words of my heart, let the words of my heart, the words of my mouth, the meditations of my heart be pleasing in your sight. That decision was voted upon, and it was a unanimous decision to do the study and let the voters decide if the tax would be increased or not. I'm very passionate about that particular issue because the council asked me to chair, to serve on that board, and I was chosen the chairman of that board. The voters need to know. You need to know. You need to read the minutes of what your council is telling you and what your council is asking you to do. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be pleasing you on your sight. Don't say one thing and then say another. That commission, when I was asked to serve on that commission, I thought, maybe I don't want to do this because I'm not in favor of raising taxes either. Then the question is, there's already a tax on the citizen. It's the school tax. When does that tax expire? I was told that that tax expires in 2015. We asked the lawyer, when does that tax expire? That tax goes until 2025.
And that will conclude the minute and a half on that. Sorry to interrupt you, but that's why we had the
I can talk all night long about that.
I understand. Hey, I understand. And just a clarification, in the question, it was a split 5-2 vote with that initial spending. Moving to question number 2 here, we're going to start with the District 8 representatives, or candidates rather. And this again will be a 1.5 minute time limit. What do you plan to do to support economic development and improve infrastructure? Ms. Anderson, we'll start with you.
Yeah, economic development is huge. And when I was thinking through, because we didn't have the questions ahead of time, what am I going to be asked? Everything that I was looking was economic development focused. And I thought, well, what are the people doing around us? What are counties doing around us? What are we doing? And I don't have an answer to that entirely, but if I'm elected, that's the first thing I'm going to do is go to our chairman and say, how can I be a part of that? Because it is absolutely key in everything else that we do. I took a few notes from, I talked to a lot of people along the way, and somebody directed me toward the Commerce Department, and I had no idea what a wealth of resources the South Carolina Commerce Department is. I'd love to be a liaison with that and be a voice in their ear, a constant voice in their ear. I'll demand to be a constant voice in their ear, and communication is just essential with that, because I found that since January of 2011, South Carolina's recruited more than $9 billion of capital investment, more than 26,000 jobs in manufacturing in our state. As of September 2013, $45 million of investment money went to 318 jobs in Chester. I want to know why they didn't come to Chesterfield. And that's what we need to figure out. What do we need to do to get those people here? Is it improving infrastructure? How will we do that if we don't have the money to do that? You know, some of it's which comes first, the chicken or the egg, because you need those big businesses to have that money initially.
Time. Mr. Robinson, if you would.
With regard to economic development, one thing that I firmly believe that we need to do as a council and as an economic development board, the board needs to really support the industry that we already have in place, really and truthfully work hard to support them. And I'm talking about the ENAs, the Takata Highland, Combraco and Pageland, those, and really support those in any way possible and keep what we have going strong. We've got to do that because those jobs and those businesses are, number one, already in place, and support them to keep building and progressing. That's the first thing. You got to look after what you already got. And then really work on recruiting new industry. That's important. And one other thing that I want economic development to do, if elected, is support and push the smaller businesses of this county. The mom and pop businesses, do a lot for them because those folks pay taxes too. The small mom and pop businesses. My dad ran Snow Hill Processing for 24 years. He paid his taxes, and the county was a customer of his. And I want to see the Economic Development Board work with those folks.
All right, if we could, we'll move on over to District 3, starting with you, Mr. Johnson. Same question.
Thank you, sir. In regards to economic development, I don't know where many of you know, but we've had some changes at the top leadership in the Economic Development Department, and I'm very much feel sure that this is going to be a good step in moving this thing forward, some better than it has been in the past. But we certainly need to do all we can for economic development. We still need jobs in this county. There's a lot of people still out of work, and I'll certainly do everything I can to help that. And as far as infrastructure in the county, you know, this county is not in the water business or the sewer business, but we have two different, I won't say private, but companies that do it, Alligator Water and Chesterfield County Rural Water. And, you know, we need to try to help them in any way we can with, as they spread water and sewer throughout this county. And as far as roads, paving roads for infrastructure, certainly if this thing passes about that, we'll have some roads in that, but if not, we'll pave roads as far as our money will allow us to do so. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Justin. Mr. Brewer?
So far, you've heard everyone say, except me, that they don't want to raise taxes. But everything that has resulted from that, we need to raise taxes. We need this, we need that, we need this. Let's go back to the tax thing. The number one priority for the Chesterfield County Council was paving a dirt road, portions of which no one lived on. It's not about just raising taxes, it's about what you do with the money when you get it. So it's not about, I don't want to raise taxes. What are you going to do with the money? Okay, if we raise taxes, let's do something sensible about it. You heard Mr. Johnson correctly say about who was in charge of economic development for Chesterfield County. It was a waste of money because that person, I'm not want to knock that person, but that person was being paid full time for doing part-time work. Chesterfield County, you got to pay attention to what's going on in this county. Read your minutes. Go to your meetings. Challenge us. Make us accountable for what you have elected us to do. Shaking hands and saying, I'm happy, don't get it done. It's hard work, it's doing the right thing, and it's living right.
Thank you, Mr. Brewer. We'll go now to District 4, Mr. Curtis, and if we would, the probate judge candidates, if y'all would get ready.
Thank you, Mr. Bell. Economic development to me is about jobs. Jobs, jobs, jobs. Without a job, you can't pay your bills, you can't pay taxes, you can't do anything. And it's our responsibility to try to make sure that those jobs come to Chesterfield County. And Chesterfield County has been progressive in doing that. It has taken some time. The spec building in Pageland that we spent money on. It took 3 years to get a tenant, but we got over in excess of 100-something jobs out of it. You got a spec building sitting between here and Chesterfield. 50,000 square feet expandable. We need a natural gas line to it. That's holding us back. But if we could put industry in place in those buildings, we're inviting them in. Please come. We'll give you any incentives that we can. But the jobs is what's important. And as far as the Economic Development Office, it is funded 100% by the fee in lieu of from Walmart that we were fortunate enough to get 15 years ago. So whatever you do with economic development is not going to hurt the taxpayers, in my opinion. But jobs is number one. We were a county of manufacturers, shirt makers. All these jobs are gone. Now we've got to get innovative. We've got to train the workforce. We've got to get into high tech, those type jobs, green jobs. That's what we've got to bring in here. But then again, the alliance, if you remember.
Time. Don't make me come up there. All right. Mr. Smallwood, same question if you'd.
Thank you, Mr. Bell. Jobs are incredibly important. I think economic development is hard. It's really hard. Ask any county in the state of South Carolina. If it was easy, we'd have plenty of jobs. We wouldn't have enough people to fill them. I think we've got to work really hard with our economic development team. I think we need to help push them in the right direction, support the good decisions, and spend money in the right way. I think we need to work on our relationship with Columbia. We need to work closely with them and help them recruit for us. If we need to raise our taxes in Chesterfield County, we need to do it with our tax base. I think bringing companies in here, bringing employees in here, hiring employees that are here, there's no way we can lose with either one of those. I think that's the direction we need to move in because it is so important. I mean, everything hinges around it. Thank you.
Thank you, guys, and I appreciate all of y'all's participation. I know there were some things you got cut off on, and I'm sure folks may want to talk to you about it more afterwards. So, thank you, guys. Good to meet you. I think everybody's set. We'll go ahead and get started. These are our candidates for probate judge. We'll do the same platform as the last time. I'll give you each 2 minutes to introduce yourself. We'll start with Ms. Gail Ingram. Ms. Ingram, if you would, just tell us a little about yourself, the credentials that make you qualified to run for the office, why you've chosen to run for the office, and what makes you the best candidate for the position.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I found out earlier this week that thanks to a reader's poll conducted by the Chesterfield County Shopper that I was voted the favorite teacher of Chesterfield County. And I regard this as a very high and special honor. However, what I really would like to be is the voter's choice. I want to be the favorite probate judge candidate on June the 10th and the favorite probate judge candidate for the general election on November the 4th. I've been teaching 34 years, and I'm retiring, not because I have to, because I'm just ready for a change. And fear not, I am still at the top of my game. Nobody can get anything around me. And while all of us are technically qualified to be a probate judge, I think you need more. I think you need something called a temperament, because this is a very special type of job. Because when do people go to the probate court? Well, it's when their world has turned upside down due to the death of a loved one. And sometimes they need to see the probate judge for other reasons, like guardianships and conservatorships and involuntary commitments of a loved one who might be an addict or a mental patient, and the only positive thing seems to be the marriage licenses. So you do get to marry people. I might have to work on my Elvis impersonation if elected to the post, but I do believe that you do need a special type of temperament. Now, I could rattle off my resume to you, but it would put you to sleep. It puts me to sleep. But I want you to know, I have not spent my 34 years idly in one windowless schoolroom, because I have been everywhere thanks to this wonderful job. I have won just about every award you could possibly want, but you know, that's nice, but what's been wonderful has been the reward that I have received from my students, the hundreds if not thousands, and I would like to brag.
Time. But you're welcome to brag afterwards. Now we'll move on to Mr. David Huntley.
I'd like to congratulate Gail as well. I think she should stay another 4 years. I hate to lose a teacher that good. I do want to thank Mr. Bell for the slideshow tonight. I didn't realize we were doing this, but actually the first 16 years of my life was in the back corner of this building right here, where I spent most of my time when my father was the county auditor. My father, Harry Huntley, served as county auditor until his death in 1974. And during the summertime, when before air conditioning in this building, I could park my bicycle back there and stand on top of it and climb in his window, and got to visit a good bit in the old courthouse at that time. But that was, like I say, growing up in Chesterfield. After that, graduated from Chesterfield High School, went to University of South Carolina, got a degree in engineering. With a degree in engineering, as I've told people in other meetings, one of the things we export the most out of Chesterfield County is talent. When you go away, you get a good education, there's nothing to come back to here in Chesterfield County. This took me on my career through South Florida. Spent 15 years with one of the nation's largest utility companies in various management roles. Then at that time pursued an MBA, and after that was certified in human resources and spent the last 7 years as a human resource executive before returning to Chesterfield in 2005 to serve as the town administrator for the town of Chesterfield. As Gail so said, the qualifications for this job aren't that high. I think we are all extremely qualified for the job. I think each one of us could do a wonderful job. And again, we'll be taking the place of someone who's been doing it for 30 years. So there will be some changes that need to be made, and hopefully those will be in the county's best interest.
Time. All right, moving on, Mr. Ralph Watson.
Hi. I'd like to thank y'all again for the venue here. I'm Ralph Watson, and I'm, for those who don't know me, but my wife is Karen Atkinson Watson, who runs Chesterfield Drug Company. My daughter is in the back, Candace Watson, who is Candace Watson Godfrey, who teaches third grade at Cheraw Intermediate. I attended Georgia Tech. I worked in management after that for the Kroger Food Company and was responsible for the training and opening of stores, training of new management, all through South Carolina, North Carolina, and southern Georgia. After marriage, I opened and owned Watson's Jewelry in Chesterfield and Cheraw. Studied gemology, became a gemologist. I moved on from that to become a residential contractor, in which I take on large, small jobs, whatever. I've been in Chesterfield Area Lions Club since 1980. After many years of service, I'm an honorary member for the Chesterfield Rescue Squad and have been officers on that squad. I was very involved with Dixie Youth Baseball for many years. I'm very service-oriented, and I believe that the job of probate judge is a service-oriented position. Like the rest of them, I think we're all qualified for it. It's also a nonpartisan position. If it's done properly and you follow law and moral ethics, you should have no problems. Now, this time, y'all will see that I'm not actively running with signs and different things because I'm on the Republican ticket, and I will not be there till November. You can still vote in the primary if you so choose, and still vote in, the Republican in the general election if you should. I'm a hardworking citizen of the county, just like most of you.
Time. All right. Again, what we did was we solicited questions from the public, and we do have a couple of here for you guys. Mr. Huntley, we'll start with you. What changes or improvements do you plan to make to probate court if elected to the office?
Wow, great question. As I said previously, whoever successful candidate is, we're following up someone who's held a position for 30 years. The positions that I've had in the past where I've come in behind someone, first thing I usually will do is make an assessment of what's going on in the department. Are there things that aren't being done that should be done? Are there things that are being done that don't necessarily need to be done? Are you using your staff efficiently? Are we getting the work done? Are you meeting the needs of the constituents, the county residents? that will be the first thing to do. Before I can sit here and say any changes that would be made, I really need to get a better understanding and a better assessment of what's going on in the office. That's about where I am now.
Sounds good. Thank you, Mr. Huntley. Mr. Watson, same question to you.
I like him to believe that, you've got to get into that office and assess it. The girls that work in the office are very qualified already, and, they would be a very good source of information on different things to do. I have somewhat assessed certain things already. I do believe that I have spent some time studying some of the laws and stuff for probate code for the state, which is very complicated. And I figured that if you go out to our website, I think we need to improve our technological end in the probate judge's office. If you go out to that website, you'll see a list of what the probate office does, but that's it. It doesn't give you any kind of links or anything in which you can use to investigate into those things or to download forms or anything like that. I think we need to change that. Almost every county around us, you can download anything you need off of their website. I also believe that probate judge's office needs to start an educational program through the schools and to the public to educate the people about the many types of things. I won't go into all of them because Ms. Gail Ingram has already brought most of those things up. So, most known as wills.
Thank you, Mr. Watson. I appreciate that. Ms. Ingram, same question.
Well, like the other candidates, I'd like to continue the excellent public service of the probate court and keep up Judge Davis's tradition of being available to all people. I think it's crucial to put a face on the court and convey a sense of responsibility and respect and compassion towards the people you serve. And that goes back to having the type of temperament that's needed. And I've also done some thinking about some things. We're now in the 21st century, and we do need to provide an online interface for payments and to put the file numbers and the names online to make it accessible and easy for the citizens of our county to deal with the estates of their loved ones. Another thing that I've been thinking of is what happens to all of your virtual assets after you're gone? Think about who's going to take control of your Facebook page or your Instagram account. So I've been doing a lot of thinking about all those digital assets. Being an educator, I believe that you need to be out there. If elected, I would like to approach several of the newspapers about the possibility of having a monthly column, Ask Your Probate Judge, and also go around speaking to different civic groups, which I've done in the past. One of the skills I think I bring to the table would be excellent communication and public skills. I can write just about anything, I can talk to you just about anything, and yet I think I have the empathy that you need in order to do the job.
Thank you, Ms. Ingram. We've got a second question here. Mr. Watson, we'll start with you for that. One of the duties of the probate judge is presiding over drug court. Is that something that you would continue if elected, and why or why not?
Well, first off, if I was asked to do that, I would. However, that is not an actual duty of the probate judge. That is a duty that has been asked of Brother Davis by the solicitor. It does not go along with the probate judge's office as far as the duties statewide, the responsibility for the laws and the ethics issues and that sort of thing. However, yes, if I were asked to do that, yes, I would. I've also been asked the question before, how do you think you could handle that? How do you think you could handle committing people that have mental problems or people who have drug problems? I can handle that very well because I'm a firm believer in that if I make a judgment and a decision based upon what the law is and what moral ethics are, then I can live with that decision, whether it makes someone mad or upset with me or not. That is a common thing. There are lots of people who do, think that the probate judge hurts them all the time, but he has to work within the law.
Thank you, Mr. Watson. Ms. Ingram, same question to you.
Well, obviously, the decision to give the probate court the responsibility of overseeing the drug courts must have been a decision not made in haste. It's a decision that they probably needed due to a shortage of personnel, if not funding. And as a county department head, I would do what it would take to pull my weight, to be a team player for the county, to make sure that all of our county funds are used in the best way possible. And if it turns out that the solicitor's office needed the probate court to be involved in the drug courts, then I wouldn't have any problems continuing that practice. But as Mr. Watson said, it does not fall in line. But however, as a teacher, and those of you who are teachers in this room, we end up doing a lot of things that are not, quote, part of our job description, but you do it because you have to. And if I happen to be elected, I would not come in trying to make all these big changes, because I think you need to learn everything from the bottom up, shadow all of your employees, and be very careful before you make any changes, because you're the new kid on the block. But I do believe in being loyal and in being a team player, and the probate judge is a department head, and I would certainly want to continue the strong tradition that Judge Davis had set forth, because let's face it, folks, he leaves very big shoes for all of us to fill.
Thank you, Ms. Ingram. Again, Mr. Huntley, same question.
I don't know how the decision was made to do that, but working in a small municipal environment, I know what it's like to wear multiple hats. And as the group in front of us was just asked, taxes, I'm sure, played a lot into that. And so if it was based on, well, we're going to raise taxes to fund another position to cover this drug court, or can someone else handle it, that's probably what played into the decision. Again, as the other candidates have said, is it the thing to do? Is if you're asked to do it, yeah, and if it's not in violation of any state statute, yes, you ask to do it, you'll do it. But I think at the same time, the burden is on the person that's elected to be a probate judge to look at other counties and see how they're dealing with the same issue. Is this a common practice in other counties, or is it handled in some different way? And get feedback from the counties that are doing the same type of situation, see if they're doing it successfully and efficiently.
Thank you, Mr. Huntley. And I thank all three of you for your time and for your participation. You're off the hook. And now we'll go to the State House of Representative candidates. Is this everybody? All right. These are our candidates for the State House of Representatives for both District 53 and 54. Looks like we just have one candidate here from District 53, which will be Mr. Anthony Waymyers, which represents the majority of Chesterfield County. And then District 54, here we have Pat Hennigan and Fred Thomas, which represents a lot of Marlboro County, but then also an area in Cheraw. So we appreciate you guys being here. We're going to follow the same format as far as, if you would, just introduce yourself, tell us your credentials that make you qualified to run for this office, why you've chosen to run for this office, and what makes you the best candidate for the position. And Mr. Waymyers, we could start with you in 2 minutes.
Good evening. I must admit I'm a little out of my element sitting down in a sanctuary and being behind a microphone, but I am Anthony Waymyers, and I've been asked the question, why run for District 53? There is a South African word that has been polarized by the life of Nelson Mandela. That word is an Ubuntu, which simply means the ties that bind. I believe that all people matter, regardless of race, color, creed, economic status, Again, I believe that all people matter. I am a graduate of Claflin University in Orangeburg, South Carolina. I am a pastor, have been pastoring over 20 years. I'm the organizing pastor of Grace Temple Fellowship Church in Wallace, South Carolina. I am the career specialist at Long Middle School. I am the owner and operator of Seasons Cafe and Catering in Cheraw. I am a licensed real estate agent at Lee Real Estate in Cheraw. I am married to Sophia Waymeyer. She is a math instructor at Francis Marion University. We have 4 children. Our oldest daughter is a graduating senior next Friday from Clemson University.
Right.
Our second daughter is a junior at Emory University. Our third daughter is a sophomore at Winthrop University. And we have one son who is a 6th grade student at Long Middle School. I am seeking your vote in the Democratic primary, June 10th, House District 53.
Thank you, Mr. Waymeyer. Ms. Hennigan, same question.
My name is Patricia Hennigan. Most people call me Pat. And I am a graduate of Francis Marion University with a bachelor's degree, a master's degree. From Winthrop, my education specialist degree, and further studies at South Carolina State University. I am very passionate about this position for one reason, that I have served in many capacities in my community, from being the chairperson of the Marion Wright Edelman before it was built, when it was an old raggedy building, to now one that's 20,000 square footage that is paid for $7.2 million. I'm also a member of the Man-to-Man Fatherhood Initiative, where we have saved many, many men from incarceration. In fact, this 2013, we were able to save $2 million for Marlborough County because we were able to keep them out from going to prison and find jobs for them. We have been working with, since 1999, 500 men we have been able to find jobs for. I'm also very involved in the First Steps program, where I serve as the chairperson because I believe that children should be ready to attend school. Now, I tell you that for one reason, because in every one of them, I have been involved either in grant writing or raising money. And now I would like to go there and work side by side and say, please, we need this money to be able to come in our community. One of the things that people don't realize is your zip code matters. You live in Spartanburg, that zip code means you get more money. You live in our area, it means you get less. Place matters where you live. And therefore, I am running to serve the citizens because I can speak. I have a voice and I will use it.
Thank you, Ms. Hennigan. Mr. Thomas, if you would, same question.
First of all, thank you to Pastor Vic and to the Link for hosting this forum. I'm Fred J.G. Thomas, J. Sanford James, G. Fagardo. I'm a retired educator from Marlborough County school system, 32 years, 6 years in Scotland County schools, where I served in Marlborough County as a 4th grade teacher for 10 years. Then I went on to be a principal in Blenheim Elementary School, there from Blenheim to Wallace, from Wallace to Bennettsville Middle, from there to central office as executive director for HR. There, back to Blenheim, then retired. Went to Scotland County Schools as principal of a high school reform under the bill of Melinda Gates Foundation, where they had 7 schools on one campus. I was principal for the School of Business, Finance, and Marketing. Next, I was the director for career, technical education, and workforce development. I said all that to say this. I was committed. That's public service. No, I have not done as my 2 opponents have been that involved, but I was involved in my career in serving the public through parents, students, PTOs, school improvement councils, and all. I'm very passionate about education. I'm a member of Cheraw Baptist Church, where I serve as chairman of the deacon board, Sunday school teacher. One thing I say when I start this campaign, I will not give up my Wednesday nights. I go to Bible study. The other thing is, I will continue to teach my Sunday school class. I'm committed and dedicated, and I'm ready to serve the 54th district. I'm ready to work hard. I'm ready to go to Columbia and be your voice. I'm ready to get there and get the job done and work with the local county governments and the economic development boards and you. I feel I'm just as equally qualified. Have I been involved in other things? Yes. Member of the Marlboro County Arts Council when I was a classroom teacher. Member of the Commission for Housing Authority.
Sorry to cut you off. We need to keep it going. What we want to do now is get into the questions that were submitted. The first two are actually school-related questions. Ms. Hennigan, we'll start with you on this first one. Our public schools are currently operating on a 2003 base student cost. What will you do to increase the base student cost? And you got a minute and a half on this question.
Thank you. You know, I always ask the question, why do we spend approximately $7,000 per student, but take and spend $17,000 for incarcerate a person? I also ask the question, why do 2,500 people come into our counties every year and eat a pack of nabs or drink, and then they leave go home with their checks, leaving nothing in our counties? Why are we allowing that to happen? I serve on a committee that wants to see this change, and that's the EDGE program, which stands for Education Drives a Generation to Excel, which means that we're working right now to get grants, and this is something I want to change. It should not be that we always have to go out and get grants to be able to get something. We should be able to get it from our legislators. I would work side by side with my Republican friends as well as my Democratic friends to get that change so that more money will come into the school system. With our EDGE program, right now we're serving 64 young ladies and gentlemen who go to school free at Northeastern Technical College because we're working to be able to train them to be able to get jobs in our system. We have another program where we work with the industry. I work with the industry to be able to bring in their industry, their machines into a school that now we have remodeled so that we can train people. I'd love to tell you more. Go to www.Patricia Hennigan.
Mr. Thomas, if you would, same question.
I too have the same sentiment as Sister Hennigan. It's just that the current K-12 funding is inadequate. Take Greenville, South Carolina, take Marlboro County, take Chesterfield County, take Dalton County. We cannot compare in dollar amounts and funding per child as Greenville can, or for Charleston or whatever. I believe firmly that it is imperative that we build a working relationship in our communities with our legislators across the aisle, reaching out across the aisle, and letting them know that we too have needs here in our districts. The rural districts are hurting because several years ago, there was a lawsuit about inadequate funding. It never was resolved. Our current governor is proposing some changes now. I want to be that voice to go there and say, look, let's do some better funding. If we continue with what we have now, we'll have the same results 10 years from now. It's time for a change.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. Mr. Waymire, same question.
Thank you. I think that's a pretty interesting question, but I think it's a simple answer. Especially for Chesterfield County, we've got to find a way to work with surrounding counties if we're going to get money for each student. I serve on what they call the site coordinator for making middle grades work, and we visited other schools in the state of South Carolina, and we're funded actually through the Education Economic Development Act. We know it as EEDA, and my job as career specialist is actually funded through that. But we need to find a way to work with small communities. I'm glad we're on the stage with District 54, District 65. I think that once we get to Columbia, if the smaller areas could team up, we could get just as much money as those larger areas that represent just one person. We got to find a way to work together, not just crossing the aisles with Republicans and Democrats, but we got to unite as rural areas and seek the same funding.
That's true. That is true.
Thank you, Mr. Waymire. This second question is a follow-up to the first question. You'll be given a 1-minute time limit on it. We'll start with you, Mr. Thomas. Are you for public funds going to support private schools, or should all public funds be spent on public schools?
I'm a firm believer that public dollars should be in public education. I do not believe we should take public money and put to private schools. It's not right.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. Mr. Waymire, same question.
I am a graduate of public schools. My children are graduates of public schools. I think that funding for public schools should be simply for public schools.
Ms. Hennigan?
I've never attended a private school, so therefore the only thing I know about is public education. I am a firm believer that our money should be spent for public education. No changes.
This next question, again, it'll be a 1-minute time limit. We'll start with Mr. Waymyers. Are you willing to give our hardworking state employees a raise after years of stagnant wages?
Repeat that one more time.
I don't get shot at. Are you? The question as it came in, are you willing to give our hardworking state employees a raise after years of stagnant wages?
I need to break that question up. The first part, I think we should give hard-working state employees raises. Now, if you're stagnant, I think there should be some kind of survey or some kind of form taken to find out whether you've been effective or not. I don't think that we should raise persons who have not been effective. I don't care how long they've been working. But if you've been hardworking and effective, I think you deserve a raise.
Thank you, Mr. Waymyers. Ms. Hennigan, same question.
I think you put it very plain in the question that you asked. Hardworking, efficient, doing their job. Yes, I do.
Mr. Thomas, same question.
First and foremost, if they're hardworking and dedicated and doing a great job, give them the money. They deserve it. If they're not, there should be tools in place, assessments in place, documentation. Go back and review it with them. They can't get it right then, they have to go.
Got it. Thank you, Mr. Thomas. The final question here, and we'll start with Ms. Hennigan.
Okay.
Do you support the expansion of Medicaid and more health coverage for the 1 million people in South Carolina who do not have health care?
I do. I really do. And I'm glad you asked that question because, as I said earlier, I serve on a board called Place Matters, and it is affiliated with the Joint Center for Political and Economic Studies and Health Policy Institute. And the premise is, as I said before, that zip code matters. And let me tell you what, there are many disparities. Unemployment, poverty, education, health, and your housing. Zip code matters. So therefore, my biggest concern is for the future of South Carolina. So therefore, I would definitely, I understand what the governor is trying to do, and I believe the governor has her own ideas about Medicaid and Medicare and whatever happened. But we have to find the resources. We have to find the resources because let me tell you, unless you are a healthy citizen, you cannot fulfill what you need to do for South Carolina. Well, our citizens must be healthy to be able to have jobs.
Thank you, Ms. Hennigan. Mr. Thomas, 1 minute, same question.
I'm a firm believer that the current path taken by our governor is wrong. People need health care. If you look at where we're on now, without any type of health care, the children in this state will suffer. They're suffering now, but they're going to have a greater number of suffering. In addition to them suffering, the adults will suffer, and somewhere along the line, about 67% of the citizens will be uninsured. We can't have that. We need it. It's important that we have good health care.
Thank you for that. And Mr. Waymyers?
I am in total support of expansion of Medicaid, and I'm really, it hurts that South Carolina is one of the states that did not expand. And I really believe that we did not expand. It was simply a political move. So, now, I wish we would call the act Affordable Care Act because when we say Obamacare, it brings in politics. And I'm not the traditional politician, but I do believe that it was rejected or did not pass simply because of politics. If it had not been called Obamacare, it would have expanded. And what's discouraging is that we would not pass something that would benefit the majority of the citizens of South Carolina. The majority is not at the top. We are middle class or lower class. And Obamacare, if you really research it, it was.
You can carry that on out in the parking lot. I do appreciate y'all's participation. I really do. And we're going to take a quick minute to stretch, and then we're going to get the sheriff candidates, which will be our final candidates for the evening. I guess we're good to go. We'll go ahead and get started here with our sheriff candidates. We'll follow the same routine that we've done all along here. We'll start down with Jay Brooks. You got 2 minutes here, if you will. Go ahead and tell us a little about yourself, your credentials that make you qualified to run for this office, why you've chosen to run for the office, and what makes you the best candidate for the position.
Thank you, Mr. Bell. Good evening, everyone. I am Jay Brooks, and I'm a candidate for sheriff in the Democratic primary on June the 10th. I want to thank everyone for hosting this event and everyone for coming and participating. I am in my 26th year of law enforcement. A large majority of that has been in the administrative capacity. I have dedicated my career to serving the people of Chesterfield County and to prepare myself for this opportunity to serve you as your sheriff. I love Chesterfield County, but even more, I love the people here. I also love this sheriff's department, which I started my career in, and I have an unwavering love and respect for the office of sheriff, one that I would never allow to be tainted. Early in my career, I started the first DARE program in Chesterfield County and taught several thousand fifth graders the Drug Abuse Resistance Education Program, and I'm extremely proud to this day that so many of my students who now have fifth graders of their own come up to me and still call me Officer Brooks. The next 20 years of my service came with Cheraw Police Department, where I was the first full-time canine handler, and I handled 2 excellent canines. You may remember Axel and Bear, who kept drugs off the street, bad people in jail, found lost kids, and gave hundreds of demonstrations to people young and old. Rising through the ranks, I was administrative captain for 7 years and the selected chief 7 years ago, which I still hold that position. As chief, I lead a department known statewide for its excellent public service while being physically responsible, efficient, and transparent. As your sheriff, I will have the experience, knowledge, the leadership skills, and the training to be an excellent steward of your money. In 2011, I was honored and privileged to be appointed to and graduate from the FBI National Academy in Quantico, Virginia.
I appreciate it. Mr. Dixon, if you would introduce yourself.
Good evening. I'm James Dixon. I'm a lifelong resident here in Chesterfield County. I'm married. Me and my wife have 2 kids. My son's a freshman at the University of South Carolina, and my daughter is in the 4th grade at Cheraw Intermediate School. My law enforcement career started in 1987 with the Chesterfield Police Department. And 26 years later, I retired and came back to work with the intentions of running for sheriff. During that time in my law enforcement career, I developed a passion for serving the citizens of Chesterfield County. And I think the next sheriff of this county, that's a must. You got to have a passion for the job. You got to have a dedication to the service of the people in which who elect you to be sheriff. And that's what makes me the best qualified candidate. My passion and my dedication to the citizens of Chesterfield County.
Thank you, Mr. Dixon. Mr. Gordon, same thing, 2 minutes.
Good evening. I am Derek Gordon, a lifelong resident of Chesterfield County. I have 20 years of law enforcement experience. I have a bachelor's degree in criminal justice from South Carolina State University. I have a master's degree from Webster University in human resources development. I have worked at 2 state law enforcement agencies, South Carolina Department of Corrections and the South Carolina Department of Probation, Parole, and Pardon Services. I'm presently part-time police officer in the town of Paisley. I'm an adjunct professor at Northeastern Technical College in the Criminal Justice Department. Presently, administrative assistant at Cheraw High School, a member of Cheraw Family Worship Center, and past president of the Chesterfield County State Employees Association. We come for change, a change that you can believe in. This is not a me run, This is a we run, a voice for all people. My citizens of Mack B. Jefferson, Paisley, you have a voice. We build in relationships. This election will come down to character and ethical principles. In 1 Corinthians 15:33 says, bad company corrupts good character. As a citizen of Chesterfield County, we seek hope for a new voice, new vision, and a brighter future. We all are stakeholders. We look to churches, schools, fraternities, sororities for help to produce change. The path we can take together, we can lead Chesterfield County to become one of the best agencies in the state, just like our neighbor, Lancaster County, just received a national accreditation in law enforcement. The ability to respond to calls quickly, professionalism displayed at all times, awareness programs that we can always be proud of, community policing, establish a restitution program just like the drug court, establish a restitution program where victims of crime can get their money back, proactive crime solutions. So that's why I say I'm the right man for this job.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Thank you, Mr. Gordon. Mr. Wright, question to you.
Good evening. My name is Raymond Wright. I'm a retired police officer, senior detective, in charge of the Detective Bureau out of Broward County, Florida, the city of Pembroke Pines. Directly sits in between Fort Lauderdale and Miami. We had a lot of carryover from those other jurisdictions. Very transverse, which causes you also to be very diverse. We dealt with all kinds of people of all races, creeds, colors, religions, everything you could imagine down there. That city actually grew very large in a very short period of time. I was actually the 37th officer hired, and when I retired, I was number 1 in seniority of a department that went over 300 personnel. Here in Chesterfield County, after completing my years down there, which consisted of 27 and a half years for the city of Pembroke Pines, rose through the ranks there, my wife and I decided we wanted to move up here. So we came up here where some friends live, and we have decided to make this our permanent and full-time home. After seeing exactly everything that has been going on and reading and hearing different support from different people, I took on the challenge of running for sheriff. This county, I believe, is outstanding, can be outstanding. We need to move forward. We need to have the people on board with us, because without you, we can't win. We cannot win on the streets. We cannot win in the courts. We have to have our people behind us. We need to move forward with what Sheriff Lee has got in place and started. We need to take that train on down the track. I give him a lot of credit. He's done an excellent job with his department in keeping it on track, quote unquote. What I propose also is what we call a MAGTAF, Multi-Agency Gang Task Force, that attends and solicits assistance from different people in different jurisdictions.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. Now we'll move on and get into our questions. The first question we have here deals with the Second Amendment, which of course is the right to bear arms. We'll start, Mr. Dixon, with you on this. The question is, as sheriff, will you defend the people of our county by refusing to enforce or allow the enforcement of any federal law by federal agents, especially an unconstitutional law, and specifically an unconstitutional law aimed at disarming Americans? And you got a minute and a half to address that.
As you all know, we live here in South Carolina, this part of the United States. And as citizens here, we're governed by 2 books. And those 2 books are the U.S. Constitution and the Holy Bible. And until the Constitution is rewritten, when that law is passed through the Constitution, I would never get a part of that. I will stand behind the citizens of Chesterfield County for their right to bear arms, which is a part of our Constitution.
Thank you, Mr. Dixon. Mr. Gordon, same question to you.
I will support them to our citizens of Chesterfield County also to bear arms, because you have to make sure that you are protected, because that's our families that's out there. So I will support us in the to bear arms.
Thank you, Mr. Gordon. Mr. Wright, same question.
Okay, I am a member of Oath Keepers. I am a member of the Constitutional Police Officers and Sheriff's Association. In those different places, I have given my oath to help protect this country and protect the Second Amendment, First Amendment of all people in this county and wherever I may be as sheriff. You are important. You are the ones that need to be armed should a situation occur. Having a handgun on your person is a lot better than having a police officer on the phone if that situation should arise. Okay, and I will say with the proper training, and there are plenty of training facilities and people around here to get you out there and do it. One thing we used to host quite a bit of, okay, was Wives' Night or Women's Night. And we'd get them there and get them comfortable. So if they did have to do anything, muscle memory and a little bit of training that they do have, or if they want to continue on, does work. Nationally accredited law enforcement rifle instructor, gun instructor, shotgun instructor, gas instructor. I went the way with shooting as part of my career, and now I currently work at Gander Mountain in the firearms section and archery. But the Second Amendment and the First Amendment, they're down home. I mean, you're not going to touch it, not in my county. No one is going to mess with that. You have your rights, and they will be enforced.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. And Mr. Brooks, same question.
I am a big part of we the people. And I trust the good people of South Carolina that they would make conscious decisions to never let anyone step on our Second Amendment rights. I'm also proud to say that I'm a benefactor, lifetime member of the NRA. If you know what that is, it took me a long time to get that, but I'm still proud of it. And it is something that I would never let anyone infringe on. When elected as sheriff, I'll take an oath that says I will enforce the laws of South Carolina and the ordinances of Chesterfield County. And I will pledge to do that with honor and to the letter. The good people of South Carolina will never let our federal government or any other government step on our Second Amendment rights.
Thank you, Mr. Brooks. Mr. Gordon, we'll start with you for this next question. It's a management style question. If elected, how do you see your role as sheriff? Do you intend to be involved in the hands-on day-to-day operations, or will your management style be more of an administrator? You've got a minute and a half.
It would be twofold. It would be hands-on. I'll be putting personnel in place. I'll be creating a transitional team at the individuals I look out at the audience to put them in place to help me with the leadership. Law enforcement is communication, but you have to have certain individuals that have a passion for what they do and a professionalism for what they do. So I'll be putting together a leadership team and then also a transition team that will, upon taking the oath of office, be in place, and then we'll go forward to put people in the right place where they need to be to represent all the people of Chesterfield County, not just Cheraw and Chesterfield, but everyone. McNeese, Patrick, Paisland, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Gordon. Mr. Wright, same question.
Well, I think we need to move forward and get things as best we can in place. As sheriff of the county, I'd be looking forward to participating. My wife says I have a habit of getting involved in things, and I do. I don't mind it. I love it. It actually took me 2 years to download after I retired. I really, really miss my job. I love it. I mean, there's people bored for it. People ain't. You know, I had to have my mom buy my first gun and bullets. Yeah, that's a little embarrassing, but it worked. Yeah, apparently I kept the interest. As far as being just management, no. That's not me. I'm hands-on. I'm out there with the guys. Lead by example. Be out there with them. Show them what you can do, what they need to do. Just bring it along. Overview everything and see what does need change, what doesn't. You know, if it's not broke, don't fix it. If it is, then let's find a viable fix for it that works for everybody and keeps it right, keeps it constitutionally sound for the people of the county.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. Mr. Brooks, same question.
You know, I may be the oldest candidate up here, but it takes that long to get the experience. And it takes that long to get the experience and the knowledge and the training to do the sheriff's job right. You can't buy that experience. You can't read a book and get the experience. You can't pay a fee and go to the FBI Academy. You can't say, I'll try, and you can't say that you never supervised anybody and you've never led a team of professionals, but I'll give it a shot. You got to know going in what the sheriff's office does, what the sheriff himself responsibilities are, and you've got to know how to motivate and train people, because our state constitution says that each deputy, each person that works at that office is an extension of the sheriff's hand. And they must be trained to do what you want them to do in the way that you want them to do it. And you got to train them to be able to treat your children on the street the way that those deputies would want their children treated. And when you get that across to them, and we all work together, and we work as a team. I don't like calling it a sheriff's department, it's a team. And we, every one of us is a special part of that spoke. And one weak spoke makes the whole wheel weak. So I will be the training sheriff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Dixon, same question.
Most definitely, I like to be hands-on with my department. I've been sometimes called a workaholic. But part of establishing a good department, you have to surround yourself with qualified people that can do the job, that you can put trust in when you're away from the job. Because like myself, I'm very involved in my community. If you take time to read my bio on some of the cards I put out, I'm on the board at the YMCA. I'm a part of AMI Kids. I'm a part of the Cheraw High School Improvement Committee. I'm involved with my lodge, St. David's Lodge 467. I'm a Rotary member. It's important for the sheriff to be a part of the community in which he lives. And that gives the community trust in the sheriff's office. And I would like to kind of mold my guys to be a lot like me. I'm a people's person. And the sheriff's office, deputies, guys and girls need to be people persons also. So I will be a part of the daily operations of the sheriff's office, but you'll see me out and about in the community more than ever. So you have to be.
Thank you, Mr. Dixon. We'll go to our next question. We'll start with you, Mr. Wright. What do you see as the biggest crime problems in this county? And budget-wise, where do you intend to focus your efforts in reducing these crime problems? And what plans will you implement in order to accomplish this goal? You have a minute and a half.
Well, there are numerous things that are going on in the county, most of you are aware of. The meth problem that we're having right now is just tearing our families and our kids apart. We are losing a young generation. As far as fiscally funding that, well, there's plenty of funds and grants out there to fight this that we can go after and get. You have to know how to write them to get them. So that's a possibility that I can move forward. This meth situation here in this county is out of control. Like I said, we're losing so many of our youth to this. That's unacceptable.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. Mr. Brooks, same question.
Any crime that happens anywhere is related to something else. Each and every one of you have probably had something stolen from your house, if it was nothing but scrap metal that you were saving to take one day, and it is so aggravating and people get so upset, but there's reasons that metal was stolen. There's reasons why somebody would take the risk of sneaking in your yard, because they're desperate, money, or they are addicted to drugs. So it's not a simple answer to put him in jail for petty larceny. You haven't solved anything. We hope to put in programs that we know will help from the very bottom, and we will work very hard to solve all those petty crimes. Why? Because those petty crimes lead to bigger crimes. And those petty crimes are what cost you money and make your insurance go up. So we'll work very hard and not just come take a report and say, see you later. Because that is not what the people of Chesterfield County are paying us for. They want us all to work as hard for their smaller crime as we work on the larger ones, because they're all interconnected. We will work very hard to have detectives that work around the clock. And we're going to have deputies that care about you and care about what happened. And if it was your four-wheeler stolen or your kid's bicycle, it's just as important if it was your Cadillac. And
thank you, Mr. Brooks. Mr. Dixon, same question.
Our crime problems, I guess the biggest problem we would have in this county would probably be the pills and the meth problem. But we can make that change through education and through educating our community. One of the things I want to see put in place was school resource officers in our middle schools. But we know that takes money. Our county council members went first. They're not willing to raise taxes. So it's going to take us working together, a collective effort from the school board to the county council to make these things happen. We can educate our kids on the dangers of drugs. Also, being a part of the community, we can be part of the churches. The churches can call and invite my guys and girls to come to their church and talk about our drug problem, help educate them on a lower level. So when they get older, they'll be aware of the dangers of drugs. But it's going to take a collective effort from everyone in this room to make a difference. The money is not here. Our infrastructure is not as high as it used to be, but we can work on that also. But it's going to take an effort from everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Dixon. And Mr. Gordon, same question to you.
I have to say property crimes. And I'd spoken earlier about funding restitution centers. When those individuals on drugs, they're trying to break into property, so that's a property crime. So we need to put those victims, get something back for those victims. So we need to set up restitution centers for those. And we're going to do it by grant writing. But I feel in every fiber of my being that my 5 rays of hope, we can try to get to a place where these individuals won't do certain crimes. The first one, we got to make some right choices as a community. We're going to make some right choices. 2, restoration. We got to restore credibility. And then we got to prosper as a whole community when we get some of these problems addressed. And then we're going to protect everybody, every place, every portion of our Chesterfield County. And at the end of the day, we got to hold individuals accountable for their actions. At the end of the day, you can't sidestep accountability. You can't sidestep it. You may want to look around it, but you can't sidestep it. So that's what we need to restore Chesterfield County and look at these crimes and address them appropriately. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gordon. This will be the final question of the evening. You'll have a minute and a half to respond to it. Mr. Brooks, we'll start with you. In light of the negative publicity over recent years, including the dog pound controversy and former sheriff's misconduct trial, what do you intend to do to improve or restore the reputation of the Chesterfield County Sheriff's Department?
We've come a long way in a year, thanks to Sheriff Lee. And that road will continue. I've noticed in the paper that every sheriff around the county, around this state who's gotten in trouble has been from a smaller department, surrounded himself with yes men that were afraid to say anything to him. Now, how do you combat that? Well, you put people around you that are smarter than you are. And you put people around you that will raise their hand and say, Sheriff, no, or smell this, it's not right. That's how you keep that from happening. And you think every morning when you get up, when you thank the Lord that another day is dawned, you pray to Him that He will give you the guidance to know that the power is with you to elect the man with the experience and the knowledge and the training to be your sheriff. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brooks. Mr. Dixon, same question.
I think the changes are coming when we make the sheriff's office transparent, where you know every dime we spend. If it takes us doing an end of the year expenditure report and put it in the paper, letting you know where our money is spent at. But more than anything, as the citizens, the sheriff you elect, hold that sheriff accountable. He holds his people accountable. You have the right to go to the polls to elect the sheriff that you see fit for the job, and you also have the right in 4 years to take him out of that job. But the biggest thing is being transparent, the citizens holding the sheriff accountable, and the sheriff holding his men accountable. It was a sad day when the things happened with Sheriff Parker. Sheriff Lee came in and made a bad situation a good situation by making some real good, effective changes. And those changes are going to stay in place, and we're going to move forward. But remember, whoever you decide to vote for, hold that individual accountable. Don't sit back and let things just happen. If you got a question about something that's going on in the sheriff's office, you got a right to come in and ask that question. And he has the right to give you an answer. I will hold the men and women of the Sheriff's Office accountable. I'm asking you as the citizens of Chesterfield County to hold me accountable.
Thank you, Mr. Dixon. Mr. Gordon, same question.
Thank you, Mr. Bell. Thank you for all the citizens of Chesterfield County for coming out tonight. I'm no insider. I work for the Chesterfield County School District. I do not owe anybody any favors. I don't have any hidden agendas. We all are stakeholders. It's about being firm, fair, and consistent. It's easy. State statutes state if you see crime, you report it. Let me say, Webster defined change as to make or become different. I know in every fabric of my being, Chesterfield County will change. Chesterfield County will change to the point where on June 10th, you can make your deposit for change. For a new voice, a new vision, and a brighter future. May God bless you, and may God bless the citizens of Chesterfield County.
Thank you, Mr. Gordon. Mr. Wright, same question.
What did happen here was a sorry thing for the whole county. It showed the people of the county exactly how it can go wrong and how things can go wrong if you don't come to us and let us know everything that's going on. You, as the people of this county, need to be totally involved in everything, and open door policy is number one. You have to be able to reach me. You have to be able to come in, sit down, discuss with me, and go over what your grievances are or what's happening that you have a concern with. My colleagues here, all of them, excellent officers. Like they said at the venue we went to previously about 2-3 weeks ago, everybody here is more than qualified. Okay, it's coming down to what exactly you believe is going to happen. Who's going to show up at the polls? It'd be a shame for this to be won by 200 votes to 45 or something like that. That's crazy stuff has happened. Get out and vote. Accountability is number one, and that stops with me. It doesn't go no further. I'm dead end on it, and I'm accountable to you, period. Okay, we have to have this office moving forward. Like Mr. Dixon said, Sheriff Lee stepped in. He has done an awesome job, like I said before. I applaud him very much.
I appreciate you guys. Appreciate all that you did, and we'll turn it over to Ted.
We want to thank you for coming out tonight. Thank you, Leighton Bell, for moderating this meeting for us. Thank you to all the candidates. Get out and vote on June the 10th. There will be another debate at the Teen Center in Cheraw on May the 29th. And so we certainly want to invite you to come back out for that. The AAMA is holding that debate on May the 29th at the Teen Center at 6 p.m. Good night.